The lights inside the tennis and water sports palace in Dushanbe cut through the darkness like a slow-burning fuse, illuminating a crowd that knows something meaningful is about to unfold. This is IBA.PRO 8, a global crossroads of ambition and reputation, where youth meets experience under unforgiving lights. The air hums with anticipation as fans settle into their seats, some leaning forward already, sensing that this opening bout carries far more weight than a typical curtain raiser. On one side of the ring stands Walter the Executioner Kautondokwa of Namibia, 40 years old, broad-shouldered, battle-hardened, a former world title challenger whose fists have ended 18 fights before the final bell. A 95% knockout ratio follows him like a warning sign, etched into every scouting report and whispered in every corner. Across from him waits Vladimir Mironchikov, just 26, representing Russia while forged by years of elite amateur warfare across Europe. Younger, sharper, unbeaten as a professional, and still hungry to prove it, his decorated amateur resume translates fully to the longer, crueler professional rounds. This fight is not simply about winning an 8-round contest at 76.2 kilograms. It is about narrative direction. For Kautondokwa, this is a chance to show that age has not dulled his executioner's blade, that power can still bend youth to its will. For Mironchikov, it is a proving ground, a test of composure against raw danger, where one mistake could erase months of technical excellence. As the referee calls them together, the noise fades to a tense murmur. Gloves touch, eyes lock. Somewhere between those ropes, time itself seems to hesitate, waiting for the first punch to answer the only question that matters. Does experience still command respect, or has the future already arrived? The opening bell slices through the silence, and immediately the contrast becomes clear. Kautondokwa stalks forward like a man who has lived his entire career trusting destruction, shoulders rolling, chin tucked, eyes fixed with predatory intent. His first statement is thunderous, a right uppercut that snaps through the guard, a reminder that power does not retire quietly. The crowd reacts with a collective inhale, but Mironchikov does not panic. He circles calmly, feet light, posture balanced, answering pressure with geometry rather than brute force. His jab begins to speak, not loud but precise, touching body, then head, establishing rhythm. As Kautondokwa swings wide, hunting the knockout that has defined his legacy, Mironchikov counters with discipline, a crisp 1-2, a hook to the ribs, a pivot out of danger. The executioner presses, true to his name, but his offense arrives in singles, heavy and telegraphed, while Mironchikov's punches arrive in sentences, each word flowing into the next. Midway through the round, the Russian lands a clean right hand around the corner, snapping Kautondokwa's head, just enough to make a statement without overcommitting. The Namibian responds with a looping hook that whistles past empty air. The crowd senses the tension, power versus precision, risk versus control. As the final seconds tick away, Mironchikov lands another counter right, sharp and undeniable, punctuating a round where danger was present, but mastery prevailed. When the bell rings, it's clear. The fight has introduced itself, and the man in white and gold trunks has quietly seized the opening chapter. Rounds 2 and 3 deepen the story. Kautondokwa, urged on by his corner, attempts to close the distance with renewed urgency, dipping his knees, trying to disguise entries, searching for that one punch capable of rewriting the script. But Mironchikov reads him like a seasoned scholar. He uses the ring with intelligence, angling off, stepping just outside the arc of danger, forcing the older man to reset again and again. Every time Kautondokwa loads up, Mironchikov is already gone, replaced by a jab, a check hook, a right hand down the pipe. The Namibian's ambition never wavers, but ambition alone cannot cut distance against footwork this sharp. Inside exchanges briefly flare, gloves scraping ribs and temples, yet even there, Mironchikov's composure holds. He fires bent-arm shots, short hooks, and compact counters that score, without sacrificing balance. By the third round, frustration begins to creep into Kautondokwa's body language. His punches still carry menace, but the accuracy slips. The rhythm breaks. Mironchikov, meanwhile, grows more confident. doubling the jab, sneaking shots downstairs, forcing Kautondokwa to think instead of simply charge. The crowd appreciates the craft, murmurs rising each time Mironchikov pivots out after landing, applause following sequences where power is neutralized by positioning. By the end of 3 rounds, the narrative sharpens. This is not a firefight yet, but a calculated dismantling, round by round, where youth is not reckless, but controlled, measured, and increasingly dominant. As the fight enters the middle rounds, urgency becomes visible on Kautondokwa's face. Time is no longer an abstract concept, it is an opponent of its own. He attempts to pin Mironchikov to the ropes, hoping to finally trap the movement and unleash sustained offense. For a moment, the tactic appears promising, as Mironchikov's back brushes the strands. But even there, the younger fighter refuses panic. He shells up, absorbs what he must on the gloves, then fires back with a sudden counter, sliding off the ropes before real damage can accumulate. Kautondokwa digs to the body, searching for attrition, yet the follow-ups never fully arrive. Everything remains singular, heavy, predictable. Mironchikov, by contrast, layers his work. Jab, right hand, hook, exit. The ring becomes his chessboard, each step denying Kautondokwa the leverage required to unleash his legendary power. By the 5th round, fatigue subtly creeps into the Namibian's pursuit. His feet seem heavier, his entries slower. Mironchikov senses it and responds with confidence, snapping combinations that end with him safely out of range. A clean left-right lands late in the round, drawing a sharp reaction from the crowd. The message is clear. The executioner is still dangerous, but he is being asked to chase a target that refuses to stand still. 5 rounds in, the scorecards are beginning to separate, and the fight drifts further into Mironchikov's chosen territory. Controlled chaos, governed by discipline. Knowing the window is closing, Kautondokwa digs deep into veteran resolve. In the 6th and 7th rounds, he finally begins to double the jab, flicking it from low to high, testing Mironchikov's guard with renewed intent. For brief moments, success appears. A stiff jab snaps through, a hook grazes the temple, reminding everyone that danger still lives in those fists. But every gain is answered. Mironchikov counters immediately. Left hook sweeping across the jaw, right hand following, his timing impeccable. Late in the 7th, the defining moment arrives. Kautondokwa steps in behind a jab, and Mironchikov meets him with a perfectly timed counter left hook. Sharp, sudden, and decisive. It doesn't send him to the canvas, but it forces a rare retreat. The executioner disengages, instincts screaming caution, senses momentarily scrambled. The crowd roars, understanding the significance. The younger man has not only controlled the fight, he has shaken the power puncher's confidence. Kautondokwa recovers, resumes pressure, but the moment has passed. The bell arrives like a lifeline, ending the 7th, with Mironchikov firmly in command, his composure unbroken, his strategy validated under fire. The final round begins with mutual respect and unspoken understanding. Both men know the story written so far. Mironchikov enters full bout management mode, staying light, exchanging jabs, refusing unnecessary risks. Kautondokwa presses, still searching for the miracle punch, but time works against him now. The exchanges are cleaner, shorter, more cautious. Mironchikov lands without lingering, pivots away, and resets. The Namibian fires a few final power shots, hooks thrown with everything left in the tank, but they meet air, gloves, or shoulders. The crowd senses the conclusion before it arrives, clapping rhythmically as the final seconds tick away. When the 10-second clapper sounds, Mironchikov stays disciplined, refusing temptation, sealing his victory not with bravado, but with professionalism. The final bell rings, and both fighters breathe deeply, acknowledging the war fought within controlled boundaries. The judge's decision is unanimous, and when Vladimir Mironchikov's hand is raised, it feels inevitable rather than controversial. This was a masterclass in control, movement, and tactical maturity from a young fighter stepping confidently into the professional spotlight. For Kautondokwa, defeat does not erase dignity. He pressed forward every round, hunted the finish until the final bell, and reminded everyone why his name still commands respect. But on this night in Dushanbe, precision conquered power, Youth outmaneuvered experience, and the future took another deliberate step forward. Mironchikov exits the ring unbeaten, validated, and poised for bigger challenges ahead. The crowd applauds both men, one for what he still represents, the other for what he is becoming. In the quiet aftermath, as the lights dim and the arena exhales, the story lingers. Boxing at its best is not just about who hits hardest, it's about who thinks clearest when danger is closest.